You are now tuned into the 2-Minute Warning, a live stream community conversation pertaining to social and political issues and how we can collectively resolve them. Powered by the Westside Gazette.
Good evening and welcome to the 2-Minute Warning. I'm your host, Perry Busby. The 2-Minute Warning is brought to you by the Westside Gazette newspaper, one of South Florida's oldest black family-owned newspaper and Broward's oldest black family-owned newspaper. And joining me tonight is the publisher of the Westside Gazette, my good friend, Mr. Bobby Henry, and our good brother, Mr. David Wright. How are you gentlemen doing tonight?
Well, I am terrific and getting better. It don't get no better than this. When I can spend a Thursday night with some good brothers having some hot topics to talk about with special guests. So we are in the mood. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Outstanding and getting stronger every day.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And once again, we're going coast to coast. And so tell me, what's going on in South Florida this week? I heard earlier you guys were swimming through the streets of South Florida, and so I hope all is well and you all have dried out. So what all is going on?
Okay, David, I'll give you the leeway to talk a little bit about that. I'll yield
to Brother Wright.
I'll yield to Brother Wright.
We're gonna come in with a bang. Well, weather-wise, it has slowed down. The rain has subsided, and we are really truly in the midst of our fall season.
Great.
So I know there's only a few places I'd rather be this time of year, South Florida being one of them, but as we travel north, we start to see the change of the seasons, and that's always great. But it's a lot of stuff going on, Perry. It's been a couple of weeks since we've had an opportunity to get in front of our viewing audience. So we're excited to just bring all of the topics that are happening. But here in South Florida, one of the key topics that I would like to address is our teachers and our teachers' pay. This, to me, has been paramount. The price and the cost of living here in South Florida are pricing our social service employees out of this community. And we have to talk about it.
Oh yeah, that is one thing. The price of insurance and the cost to live here, as if our governor wasn't adding to the stress. We have those insurance prices are as high as the mortgages are. So
yes, insurance, taxes, cost of living, and then these low wages that they're receiving, no one can balance that. You've got to be more than a magician to try to even balance that. So, when we come to this year's election, these are some things that I believe needs to be at the top of the list when we talk about bargaining and what's in it for us. Why are we going to deliver our vote to you when you deliver nothing?
David, when you said that, this vision of this guy walking a tightrope across Niagara Falls, that's what came to my mind. I'm just saying we're trying to do a balancing act, cost of living, our governor, and as well as some other things, like you said, man. It's extremely stressful. However, there's nothing new under the sun.
Nothing new, but Perry, you and I had discussed, being faced with a possible recession with all of this going on. I hope the feds can be on that tightrope and create that balancing act. But Perry, you said you had some information in reference to how this is looking.
Unfortunately, I can say that what's happening is not unique to South Florida, because it is felt. What we're feeling here on the West Coast is very much similar. And I'm not on the West Coast, but I'm in the Southwest. And I'm sure from Florida on through much of the South up to Arizona is feeling pretty much the same pinch. there are quite a few things going on here that gives quite a different, has given me quite a different perception about some issues that we talk about. One of those being immigration. That's playing a big part in terms of the living here. Homelessness is a big issue here in Tucson, and as I was mentioning to you earlier, Phoenix, the city of Phoenix, sued its local government over the homeless issue. And earlier this week, the residents of Tucson likewise have sued its city government over these unrestricted tent cities that are popping up everywhere. And so when you think about immigration, that's compounding the issue of homelessness. We're seeing some devastating times, as well as the issue, as you say, of just low wages. Yeah.
If I can, when you say that who's being sued and who's suing, I mean,
the citizens.
When it comes to homelessness, so the citizens.
The citizens have sued their local municipality, the local government.
What are they charging them with?
Public nuisance was the suit because this was primarily homeowners, and especially those who are living near public spaces such as parks. Some abandoned parking lots. Yeah.
Hold up. Now, have y'all seen the movie Purge? I mean, where the cities was. So what are we creating? Are we getting ready to create the implosion of our cities? The citizens going against the citizens who have against those who have not. I mean, what I'm just trying to understand this.
Yeah, it gets presented in that way, and I think that that's pretty much in a nutshell. But I think the suit is really a push to get city leaders to address homelessness in a proactive and intentional way, and not to just turn a blind eye. And again, there's, as you say, in South Florida, city leaders are dealing with quite a bit of issues, just in terms of livable wages and for teachers to have a place to live. And so when you compound that with the homeless issue that has continued to grow and not really be addressed in a forthright sense, then the citizens feel as though they have no other recourse than to sue their local government, because their property taxes are going up, and yet they are here, and they understand the homeless issue, but homelessness brings about a lot of other ill will. Yeah.
Absolutely. And there are three components to that, Perry. Obviously, there are those that are living paycheck to paycheck, which in some sense, if they miss one of those paychecks, may find themselves homeless. Here's the other thing. There are solutions that other cities and municipalities are doing that are alleviating some of their homeless situations. And then the unsafe living conditions in those tent cities. So we look at all three of these areas, and we have to come up with some type of solution. But the unsafe and the unsanitation and the high crime volume that can take place in these tent cities, we've experienced it here in Fort Lauderdale. They did a clean sweep. I'm not sure we feel like we have solved our homeless issue, but they did a clean sweep on our tent city over here. The library.
This is what boggles my mind. We're suing the government. The citizens are. So whose money? Who pays the government? Are we suing ourselves?
Again, this is what Perry is saying. That tax dollars are obviously not being used. in a way that prevents it.
And again, speaking biblically, they said the poor should always be among us, and what we do to the least, we do it. So I mean, we're trying to put the. I don't want to sound like a socialist, but here we are trying to put what we're supposed to be doing on the backs of the government. Well, but that's another that's a
yeah. But
yeah.
Again, before we move on, as civic leaders who control the resources, obviously, this is an eye opener, a juggernaut to bring suit against them to at least be cognizant of what is your plan to help resolve this when we see other communities that have taken action and have better results than what we have seen.
Yeah.
I would rather see us sue individuals.
Yeah.
Let's put the pressure where the pressure is supposed to me.
Yeah.
If you're sitting in position of authority and collectively you're supposed to come up with but don't use my money to shield you with. I mean, that's just a thought.
That falls on the government.
Yeah. And like everything else, I think we do in this 21st century have to reimagine what a domicile looks like. I mean, for so long we've talked about home ownership. Well, you talk about home ownership, and the very root of home ownership in America right now is capitalist driven. I mean, you got developers. I mean, so the focus is on the capital, not on the human, on that moral issue of how do we serve our fellow man and live in a cohesive environment. That now takes a back seat.
What you said, Perry, and we're gonna move on to another topic, but what you said about home ownership, and the construction industry and all that. Develop. I'm sorry.
The construction and developers.
All right. Thank you for pointing developers. On the developers, they seem to have their hands in the pocket of the government. So again, I would ask us to let's sue individually. But again, that's another topic.
Yeah.
I see we got a very interesting audience tonight. I see Brother Bernard Fisher up from Philadelphia. He's in on the channel. I see we got a Spanish speaking journalist from Cuba. I see she's on. Miss Daisy Francis. I see she's on. So we got a wide, diverse audience.
Mm-hmm. Dr. Ray Sheriff Smith,
publisher from Houston, Texas, and those Henry
Dallas, Texas. Dallas, Texas.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Don't want Cheryl to jump on
it. Okay.
And our local family, we got to give them.
So we got a good audience here. So it's something that I want to just touch on briefly, and I'm not necessarily airing out dirty laundry out in public that happens in the house, right? I'm not doing that, but I am extremely disturbed over a couple of incidents that has happened at our positions of higher learning, if you will, our halls of academia. When we look at the news here lately with the Morgan State shooting. Then there was an incident that happened at a football game between Florida A&M University and I do believe it was Alabama State, where one of the players, for whatever reason, I don't know what verbal abuse was subjected upon anybody, but there was clearly a physical violation when this player in uniform during the game slapped a security guard. Now, the security person was a female. So I think what we need to have on one of our shows is let's discuss what are we doing at our HBCUs to create an atmosphere that would allow certain things to happen. And I'm not trying to air our personal dirty laundry in the opening, but when things happen, Grandma used to say, "Where you cut up, that's where you're gonna get tore up at." So that's just something right there that I wanted to bring to attention.
And that may be a self-control issue, but again, this is again what's being discussed, and why are we reacting in such a manner?
Yeah, and I think if we connect the dots, we, as I like to say, we can't blame apples themselves for being bad. Bad apples come from trees, bad trees. And so when we have a dysfunctional leadership, as we've been talking about in terms of homelessness, our kids may not say it, but they will act out what they see.
And hear.
Okay. There was something else too, and I'm David. When you get ready to do yours, I wanted to also bring up this. Just when we thought, I guess, police brutality or police shooting were on the decline, I see that the Indianapolis police have shot at least 11 people in the first 9 months of this year, and 10 of those people shot were black, and 6 of them died. So we are still being assaulted and confronted with police brutality and the use of deadly force and trying to understand people of color.
Extreme and excessive.
Yeah. And I see one of our listeners, Mr. Bernard Fisher, has raised a very interesting...
Mr. Bernard.
Yeah, I said Mr.
Oh, okay, that must be your
Yeah, Bernard
accent.
Fisher.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no. Mr. Fisher, he says, what are we doing in our respective homes, communities, etc., to promote manhood? And that's a very interesting topic. And I know we can't get into that one much tonight, but there seems to, there has been a lot of discussion about manhood. And, and I know we're in a lot of transition. We talk about a lot with, especially in our communities, about single mothers, and single parents, which is nothing new. But this issue of manhood, I think it kind of cuts a lot of ways because, and I think we need to discuss it because what part of that is myth that we are hanging on to, and what part of that is the fact that black men are just in a struggle as they've always been, and black men are standing strong. It's just the forces against us are getting even stronger. And as you say, Bobby, that's a part of that airing that dirty laundry.
Okay.
And to add to that, last month I had an opportunity of being on a panel with an organization called Candid Conversations with Men. And so this did come up. We had a balance of different age groups from about 20 to 60, 70 in this Candid Conversation. We were able to break bread and share information and just be open in a safe space where we weren't vulnerable about what we said and what came out, even though we coached individuals to make sure that they understood. Don't want the blowback, don't say it. But the good point of it is there are organizations and groups out there that are intentionally having these type of conversations surrounded around manhood and that kind of fellowship with men. And I would encourage that because there's a lot of wisdom that's being shared. There's some healing that's going on, and we got to do better.
I want to say something. I see Dr. Ray made a comment. Excuse me. And Dr. Ray said that's a violence against women, women's issue as well as self-control. And this might be a time for us to segue into our guest speaker, maybe, because as a part of the agencies and organizations that are involved with the topic that our guest is going to talk about, there's a group of men, black men, involved in this particular movement. So as David alluded to, we need to be able to have that conversation. Now, we do understand that in having that conversation, you want to make sure that you're having a conversation with people who you can trust, that you respect and they respect you, that they love you enough not to share what is being discussed, because you don't want to share everything with anybody, especially as it pertains to you personally. Just as soon as you share it with somebody who's untrustworthy, as quick as they're telling you, they're texting out to other folk about your vulnerability, if you will. So yeah, we need to find that group, that connection, that safe space that we can have that conversation. Yeah, I totally agree. I see Mr. Fisher has come back with a comment. Our young boys and young men won't know what to do if we don't teach them. Black men can't abdicate the responsibilities to our young brothers and stop being intimidated by our young.
Absolutely.
I agree. Exactly.
That's a great point. That's a great point. Okay.
So I know our viewers are just waiting for this guest we got on tonight, because if they saw the flyer,
oh yeah,
they know that this is going to be a serious topic here in Florida.
Right.
Not just North Florida, not just South Florida, but in Florida. So Bobby, we're going to give you the honor of introducing our guest for tonight's show.
I wanted to do this two ways. I want to read something, and then I want to tell you a little bit about our guest. Okay. This person was at the inauguration of our 49th Vice President, who was Kamala Harris. This person said, Vice President Harris' accomplishment represent the leadership, hard work, determination, and focus that Black women have displayed not only throughout this past election cycle, but for decades in our efforts to protect America's democracy. She also said, for Black women, her becoming a first in so many areas represent not the end, but it's just the beginning. Now, that person who said that is none other than our sister, Melanie, and I said her name. My tongue get taught. Melanie Campbell. She is a native of Mims, Florida. Now, if you know anything about Florida, Mims is just a little place up there where there's a whole lot of stuff has taken place. Campbell has a BA in Business Administration from Clark Atlanta University. So you see, so she's really tied to the essence of what it is to be Black. From Mims, Florida, HBCU, and she is the national president and CEO of the National Coalition on Black Civic Participation. She's the convener of Black Women's Roundtable. Campbell is recognized as one of the hardest working servants, leaders in today's civil rights, women's rights, and social justice movement. Campbell recently celebrated 25 years of service with the National Coalition and has served as an advisor to U.S. presidents, congressional members, corporate labor, nonprofit executives, philanthropists, faith leaders, and others on critical issues impacting Black America. And that was a tongue twister. Without any further ado, I want to introduce to some and present to others this great sister in the struggle, Miss Melanie Campbell. Melanie.
Hello.
Pronounce your name correctly for me. I know I messed your name up. Pronounce it correctly for me, please.
Because my mama, up in heaven, she's gonna make sure I get that right. Melanie.
Melanie.
And I will give my whole name, Melanie Lynette Campbell.
Okay.
Right on.
Thank you for letting folks know I'm from Mims, Florida. That's right.
Absolutely.
That's right.
You got to know your NAACP history to understand Mims.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
That bus go up there every year, don't it?
Yeah, what's happening? That's right. Melanie, so there's an event coming to Florida, right? And this event is to shake up some stuff. So give us a little backdrop to what generated this and how we're going to get involved in this.
Well, thank you, and it's so good to see. I was listening in. I was ear hustling, listening to you all talk about what's going on with brothers, and it was really, really, really intriguing to hear. And so good to be here again. And David and Perry, nice to meet you all on the screen.
Nice to meet
We're
you.
coming to Florida. I have my organization, National Coalition on Black Civic Participation, has been around for 47 years, almost 50 years. We were started by the NACP, the Joint Center for Political and Economic Studies, and the AFL-CIO, so labor, civil rights, coming together, and the connection with why policy is important. And so we have an affiliate here in Florida, Solandra Benton, who's our leader with the Florida Coalition on Black Civic Participation. So we are actually getting ready to launch our national campaign for 2024 now. And we felt it was important that we start in Florida and that we start now and don't wait until January, we tend to do. But really, and why Florida? Well, Florida is a state that, because of the current political, especially on the state level, where we see a tsunami of attacks on rights, freedoms, everything from voting rights to reproductive rights, workers' rights, right to organize, attacking, Mickey Mouse to Disney, going after minority set-aside programs, and the list goes on and on. But Florida is not the only state. It's just that it's hot. It's being there's a light shined on it because of the current governor and how he likes to show everybody just how. But it also is an example of what fascism can look like, right? We talk a lot about other countries and how things can happen, and worrying about the former president and what he's going to do or not do. But right here in Florida, we want to shine a light on all of these issues, and we're building a coalition, building one with our leaders and other leaders inside the state. So national groups, state groups coming together, and we're going to be, rather than come here for a rally, which nothing wrong with that, don't get me wrong. We wanted to have a sustained, on the ground, a minimum of a month here in Florida, where we're going and engaging and listening, having listening sessions with Black men to find out what they want. Everybody knows me for the work I do around Black women, but we also know that brothers are saying, "What are y'all gonna do?" And so we're planning. I think we'll be down in South Florida when we do that, by the way. But we're starting in Jacksonville, and we're working with leaders in each of the local communities, both urban and rural communities, where we're going to be knocking on doors. We're going to be having listening sessions. We're going to be in the parades. We're doing everything we can to get folks to pay attention to. Now is the time to get ready for this election. In some places, you actually have local elections, but we didn't want to wait until, like I said, January. And then what folks are saying, thank you for coming before it's time to vote. And that's what we wanted to do. So we're going to be starting in Jacksonville over the weekend. Next weekend, we'll be in Daytona. There's a HBCU component where we'll be engaging young people, doing student engagement. Folks, we're doing voter registration in some of these locations. It's really shining a light on, and we call it the power of the ballot. And what is on that ballot, if you look at the ballot, we have probably about 15 issues. But guess what? Every last one of those issues will be affected by this election coming up. My mother was a public school teacher, retired teacher, passed in 2016, 86, 7 years young, helped put Black history in the public school system in Brevard County. And so also on a personal level, I cannot sit up here and say I'm a quote unquote national leader and I don't take care of my own roots. So I'm home just trying to help make sure that people don't ignore Florida. Oh, Florida, and for those who progressives, Florida is just, it's lost cause. No, we're not going nowhere, and we're not going to be erased. So our theme is I think y'all said we ain't going to be erased.
That's right. That's what we said.
Right. Just break it down. Right.
That's right. That's right.
We are not going to be erased, and we are not giving up our power, and we haven't. But we got to come together and utilize our resources.
Okay, that's a good point, man.
We're going to power the ballot campaign starting in Florida, be here for a month, and then we're going to other states, and we're going to come back to Florida in the primary season.
Okay. You mentioned some of your supporters and some of the speakers at those events. I see one name in particular that just jumps out what's her name, Cole.
And Dr. Janetta Cole will
Yes.
be there. Tony
Yes.
Hill will be there. Elise Nixon, several other folks, leaders from the local community will be there. Reverend Harris will be at Reverend Harris's church.
Pastor Lee Harris.
Right, that's exactly.
What?
Harris, and we'll be there tomorrow and Saturday. And like I said, we're knocking on doors and making sure that we're listening and finding out what do our folks want? What are the concerns that they have? Because a lot of times we do these campaigns and we do polling. I like talking to folks just straight up. I get more out of sitting in the barbershop or sitting, with some sisters after church than I do, even though we have to do the research. It's important. But it's also just being in community to listen and find out what folks are concerned about is a big part of what we're doing this over this next 30 days.
Okay. Yeah, I see one of our viewers, Miss Daisy Francis. She is a Cuban journalist here on assignment in Washington, D.C. And she asked the question. She asked, how will Florida resolve the wave of restrictions on many rights?
And that's why we call this the power of the ballot, right? It's also the power of organizing and building coalitions so that we can work together. So we got about 30 state organizations and about 10 now national organizations that are coming together around this campaign. And this election will determine that. There not just the federal races, but there are state races in Florida. There's an opportunity in Florida to deal with the state legislature, who in Florida has sanctioned a lot of these, either through the executive orders or through actual changing the laws in the state of Florida to disenfranchise and really going after. And this is something that I try to synthesize what we're saying. Every lever you could think of for upward mobility is under attack. Whether you talk about economic security, whether you talk about business opportunity, when you're going, the federal 8A program is in trouble. When the affirmative action case went down and people thought it was just going to stop at the doors of Harvard University, we knew that folks were going to use it to go after affirmative action set-aside programs. And so a lot of times we have conversations and it was like, well, yeah, this now is talking about our ability to become the millionaires and the billionaires. When you're not able to get those federal contracts or state contracts, and we know that racism and discrimination has not left this country, and all we want is a fair opportunity. But if those opportunities are not there, then we're going to have another impact on upward mobility for Black people in Florida, whether you're talking about education, and the list goes on and on. So we want to make sure that people don't leave Florida out of the fight for 2024. So we wanted to be here and convince folks that we need to be in Florida and we need to support and lift up the leadership that's fighting every day as well.
So, Sister Campbell, you said a mouthful. We're right at the bottom of the hour, so we just want to encourage all our viewers to chime in, text, or put in their comments. Also, like us here on Facebook and YouTube. But you said a mouthful when it comes to fascism. You talked about the AA, and it almost seems like the second Reconstruction ending and a new Jim Crow revising itself all over again when it comes to all of these changes in the legal system. But my other question is, what are we to do after you guys come and bless us with everything you're going to share with us this month? In the meantime, are we going to be able to have something local here throughout the state that we can chew on and work on until election time?
Oh, most definitely. Our Florida affiliate, there are like 30 local organizations that make up this coalition. And we are nationally in partnership with the folks in the state. So this is to really have an opportunity to build that kind of a coalition that is not one that's just here for a season, but we're here for the long haul. We have to be And then what's going on in Florida, I tell folks, it's not going to stop at I-95 and 10. You think that's what's getting ready to happen? Let's go over to Georgia. It's stuff going on over there. There's stuff going, especially in the southern states, not only, but in the South, where the majority of our people live. There are various elements of these same kinds of things. Banning of the books, Black history. Censorship is nothing new. History has shown in this country that they didn't want us to read. So what we know is our young people are going to have this generation coming won't have a chance to even halfway meet the opportunities. And so we have to fight. I wasn't blessed with birth children, but I got a whole lot of nieces and nephews and great nieces and great nephews, because I'm the auntie with no children, so I'm the ATM as well. That's all right. God is good, right? They're not, my little niece and nephews, they're not going to have a shot, right? Our kids are not going to have, if you can't get the car, and in some cases going after our anything Black, even with the sisters in Atlanta with Freedom Fearless Fund. So we can't even take our own money to give money to our own people. Now those same people who went after Harvard and the North Carolina school are going after those kinds of programs. Those sisters can't move the money for Black business. And so one of the concerns I've had is that this is not just about those at the bottom, it's those at the top. And especially those in the middle won't even have a chance. And so it's our responsibility. I feel like, it's like when I talk to our folks who are trying to figure out what should we do, we met. One of the things that we did during the March on Washington, and I saw you, Brother Henry, recently at the Congressional Black Caucus Foundation, ALC, is that we said we got to get started. And so this was to move from just sitting around a table strategizing to getting on the phone. We don't have all the answers. I don't have all the answers, but that's why I want to listen and talk to folks and figure out what they need and how we can support each other and fight this fight. And they can't, we come together in lock arms. They can't break that chain. Right. But if I'm over here in the corner isolated, you over in the corner isolated, I'm over here working on in my silo, you over there, we never connect. Like we need Black press. We need you all right here who are sharing the information and getting the information. So that we know, because it's not going to be an overnight fix either, because the children of darkness, right, are just better organized right now, and we have to do what we need to do, so that we might not even see it, in my lifetime, but we're going to see enough of it in my lifetime. God willing, and the creeks don't rise, we're going to fight back, and we're going to win.
Yes, Melanie. You said again. You are really educating us. Oh, have mercy! I lost my thought. Let me go to what Stevie Larkin. Stevie Larkin proposed a question, and Stevie says, "Question: How are African Americans addressing Governor DeSantis in the state of Florida? Do you think it's a positive strategy for Black organizations to boycott the state of Florida?"
I think it's boycotting is some part of a strategy, not the only strategy. I think if you have, and I know that there have been organizations, Black organizations, who have canceled their conventions, and it said fighting for freedom has pain attached to it, and there's no way around that. And sometimes that is a strategy. I don't think it's the only one, right? We're here. People say, well, we're boycotting. No. We can't just leave it. Just no. Okay. We gotta have a multi-tiered strategy. As far as the other part that we're engaged with, Black elected officials who are working hard, and others and building, trying to fight back on the state legislative level. Now I'm doing more C3 right now, but just I'm letting you know the other things I know are going on. Is that Black legislators are coming together. I'm sure right now, dealing with the committees that are meeting right now, right, to talk about the kind of bills that because sometimes you don't win in one legislative session. And I mentioned earlier that Florida has some state legislative races, so you have to figure out like who's got your back and who doesn't, and go after it. We've had some struggles with maintaining Black political power because of racial gerrymandering and partisan lines that are drawn. But the pendulum can swing, and building those kind of multiracial coalitions as well, because it's not only Florida's, it's not a majority Black state, but we have other folks of color, other good white folks that believe in inclusion and opportunity, and know that it won't stop at it. When you try to do harm to us, it's going to hurt your community, right?
And that's a great point. Let me say this. I want to, if I could.
Well, Sister Campbell, I want to challenge you. Where are the good white folks? I've been calling them and asking, and hollering and trying to find them.
We gonna get out there and find them.
I've been looking for them.
Check this out.
Someone went to jail with me when we were up there pushing for the Voting Rights Act. It's a few.
Okay. If we can, I want to see what Dr. Ray said. Dr. Ray said something about Asala. Asala, here we go. And he says, okay, here we go. Asala did not cancel its conference. We were strong in numbers in Jacksonville 2 weeks ago. And I want to piggyback on this. I'm saying this right here, right now, and I'm saying it publicly, that the Black press, the NNPA, the National Newspaper Publishers Association, is coming to Florida in January. And we're coming on a mission. We're just not coming to say we were here. We're coming to make a statement. And as you said, Melody, it's going to take all of us. We're going to call on our Jewish brothers and sisters. We're going to call on the LGBTQ. Yeah, we're going to call on everybody to join us. So we are in it. We're going to fight for it. No, we're not running from it. We're coming to join in the fight. So we're coming here.
And was that Dr. Lee? Was that his name?
Yeah, Dr. Ray.
Dr. Ray. Yeah, I heard about Asala. I heard y'all were at a park and y'all were reading the book that folks want to ban. I heard about that. Dr. Cole told me about that. So so the word got out about you all utilizing that conference to push back on censorship, on the banning of Black Black literature and Black books. And I think that was important. And everybody has a role to play. The key, I think, is us coming together more, because a lot of times it's like everybody, you got so much coming at you, we can't sometimes slow down long enough. That's why we met right before that march on Washington. We got together and rolled up our sleeves for a few hours. Like, okay, we can march on Saturday, but Friday we need to meet. Right? We got what we're going to do, right? And that's what we're trying to do with this, and not rush through it and take some time. And it's on faith. Ain't like I no big budget, but God's okay. God's taking care of it.
And I'm so glad to hear. We were having a conversation, a pre-dialogue about the show, and we try to keep it as real as we can. We were concerned when we were looking at the list of people who were involved, and we were just saying, okay, here we go. We're gonna get another inundation with organizations who ain't doing that. But the fact that you begin to mention what you're doing, and you got grassroots, and you're going under the trees, and you're going to HBCUs, and you're talking to people, that got our attention up. And you mentioned, and the coalition that you're building with are those who are concerned, who have a deep respect and love for the people, not just some fly-by-night self-centered politicians who want to get elected. You got people who are concerned, and that meant the world to us.
It's not parachute politics. That's not
there you go.
Right.
And
first of all, I'm home.
And what I'm seeing,
right on.
And Sister Campbell, what I'm seeing and feeling, I'm hoping in this strategy, it's like a green book of how do we come to Florida, and who do we patronize when we come to Florida, and making sure that we're spending money with Black and brown people who are about the cause, and not just spreading out.
Not just because.
Not just because.
Not
all about the beach. It's coming here on purpose.
Yes, sir.
With a purpose.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes. I don't have it in front of me. I know, like, you're right. I know next week we're going to be in Daytona. I know we're going to be at a Black-owned restaurant. I know that. I know we're going to be at the Black church. We're gonna be at the Black campus. And we're gonna be along that parade, supporting. So you're right. The other part of that is there's an economic component that we have to also. I think about that, and I appreciate that.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Mr. Campbell, and again, thank you for bringing us your wisdom and your experience in this. Florida, and I dare say pretty much Black America, from beginning in 2008, and whether we want to attribute this to the Obama campaign or not, since 2008, African Americans have pretty much, in terms of voter participation, has outpaced white America in terms of voter participation, not numbers, but in terms of the percentage of voters. And that happened from 2008 to 2020. 2022 was the first time we saw that dip.
Drop, right?
Yeah. And I guess my thing about this whole thing is we've never had a problem with our efforts to get out the vote. We've never been slopeful about our efforts to get involved in voting. But these times are different. And so as we begin to talk about strategy, one of the things I think that is paramount in most of what you said is your ability to do the one-on-one. Because I think so much of what we're doing now has been so technology driven, because we think technology can hit masses. And that has not proven itself right for a lot of reasons. So what are some of the things that you hope that we can begin to either reimagine or either bring back to help put us back on this track? Because I as much as we are excited about voting, it's not showing up in the numbers.
Yeah, especially local elections.
Yeah. So what are some of the things that you're hoping that this will help reinvigorate even local leaders to now begin to change our approach? Because I even dare say we even need to, as you talk about these good white people, I think our strategy has to help in some ways reconstitute a Republican Party. You know, and that may sound strange, and I'm not a Republican. Don't get me wrong. But a weak Republicans, I think, make weak Democrats, because it doesn't take much for me to talk strong when the other person is already somebody I'm not going to consider. Well, so what can we do to help leaders as well as help our people understand this dichotomy? Because we end up getting black leaders, and if you talk to folk on the street say, "Oh man, they ain't doing shit," and I'm not missing words. This is what they're saying. Why should I get back involved when I haven't seen anything from the first time?
Yeah, I think one, listen to that, right? If there is something that you can share, so folks do know, right, and have access to seeing that ballot matter, I think is really important. You talked about social media. What has never stopped, especially since the 2016 and even before that, right? The Republican Party didn't just start. Dog whistle politics didn't start with Donald Trump. He just took it and put it on steroids. Right, but the problem that you mentioned is that you now, though, have a party that's willing to dismantle the structure, as flawed as it may be. It's not a perfect structure, but they're really willing to change the structure. Now, I'm not sitting at the dinner table to know what the conversations must be, but I'm going to assume that the conversation is one horse pony. White, how do I want to say this? And Roland Martin talks about it all the time. You know, the truth of the matter is, it is about keeping white privilege at the top of the food chain.
He calls it fear.
So, I don't care. Otherwise, what's going on? So if the structure, so if the numbers are shifting, because we've been talking about, talking to Dr. Loretta Johnson, retired AF, American Federation of Teachers from Baltimore, a few weeks ago at APRI conference. And we were talking about the reality that we've been talking about the census. You know, we've been talking about the country going to be brown, black, black and brown, and people of color and all of that. And other folks was hearing that and saying, well, we need to change the structure. So when you're willing to do what happened the other day, right, with the leader, quote unquote leader of the House getting kicked out, right, and let the government go by the wayside on a federal level. And people, one thing about the former president, he said what he was going to do, and he made all attempts to do it. And so you have a reality that if you don't have but one party that believes in the system, then you don't have a democracy. Right? And it's not just in DC, right? And when you, I think it was Wisconsin, where the woman was elected a judge, right? And y'all like, well, make sure you can't take the seat. So when you start adding up all of these things that are happening all over the country, then it's like, hey, y'all serious about this? And now, not only that, y'all like, y'all not gonna have. You people say when you marginalize people, right? This is about not marginalization. This is about annihilation.
Right, annihilation. You're right.
And that's some real stuff. And so people, you're just an extreme. You're just being extreme. No. How are we going to achieve if we're limited in our education system? And then what stops them from because in some cases when you have black state colleges, they're concerned about how they're going to have their resources. So how you going to if you say that you can't use race, right, to deal with past discrimination or current? Because I'm just talking about making sure that my tax dollars can go into my community. So I don't care what you call it. Because what you're telling me is that if I'm for instance, a public university, and I can't make sure that my community is able to get in there, but you can use my money. And I'm not a lawyer. I'm an organizer. I'm not a lawyer. I'm just trying to understand, how is it that my money, this governor can just decide what I could, what we can do, what we can't do, and the kinds of lawsuits that are really going after the ability to not use, that is erased. That's why we said we won't be erased. We ain't gonna be erased, because that's what that does. If you can't deal with the whole of who you are with these decisions, and we know history has shown it, past and present, that there's still discriminatory practices when it comes to admissions, when it comes to business, all these various things. Where are we going to be? And so we have to come together, because we don't, folks aren't going to stop the attacks. And so I think go to the enemy in their face and bring a force together.
Sister Campbell, before we go to our viewers, you really struck a nerve with me. You've gotten your PhD on the 2-minute warning. You are now Dr. Campbell. And Doc, you said if they dismantle at the federal level, you didn't say this, but it trickles down to the state and local level, which means if there's a hierarchy, a fascist government, that one party system that controls all, if we're not a black state, we're in trouble.
Right. Yeah. So,
and even if we are a black state,
right. So Brother Perry said, we need a Republican Party that got more sense.
Right.
That's
absolutely.
And it is no secret that Republicans, and I don't think it's even a fringe of the Republican Party, the statute to open up the Constitution again has always been what Republicans have been their long goal. Because once you open up if you have a constitutional amendment, what we know as the 13th Amendment, what we know, that is the ultimate eraser. And I don't think that a lot of our people really understand the long-term goal of what that fascism looks like. Mm-hmm. You know, in terms of just some of those, you know, we've seen it in terms of the legality, like Roe versus Wade.
Right.
But when you get down to the crux that the Constitution can now be rewritten or certain passages stricken, that is their long goal. And I'm just saying, I don't think that we really talk about the politics in that way, and it's become so much of a personality driven.
Slavery, you know, we benefited from slavery.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I want to.
Well, hallelujah.
Yeah.
Right. So you know, people show you. We have to believe them. It's like, they're like, no, they're not playing. They're playing for keeps. Right. And we have to play for keeps. Like, no. And our young people not gonna put up with it, right? But they can't do it by themselves. And you know, I'd rather be somewhere sitting on the beach, you know, really. Right, but I can't. We can't. And so one of the things we talked about, like how to get folks to see that vote as it's not a panacea, but it is an equalizer in this country and so I think part of what I see the plus is we're working Solange through her leadership and working with our Black Vote young people, working with the Dream Defenders, working with anybody who want. It's my coalition thing. They call me coalition builder. That's my hashtag, right? Everybody belongs to my table. Sometimes you got too many people at the table. That's all right. We're excluded from too many tables, right? And so what you see on that flyer is not stopping at the names that you see.
Let's bring the flyer up too.
Continue to build coalition that's a groundswell. And not reinvent. There are coalitions inside of the state of Florida. There are leaders inside. I'm partners with the folks in Florida. This is not, again, I'm not coming in. I'm home. Never left supporting my home, the state of Florida. Not on TV every 5 minutes to talk about it, because you don't tell the enemy everything you're doing.
That's right.
We ain't putting everything out there. Right?
We want to.
You know, talking to black press. We ain't putting everything in the press.
Right. No. You won't hear everything. No. I want to do two things. I want to put the flyer up, and then I want to bring some comments up from some of our readers. Our viewers. Okay, this is the flyer, and you can see, our viewers can see.
It doesn't show the groups at the bottom, but that's okay.
Okay.
They're about 30 groups.
There is did we put that up, the document with those groups on it? But as we do that, if we can go back to the viewers. To the viewers. Yeah. Okay. And there's some very interesting comments. Where do we want to start from? Well, let's start from Bernard Fisher, then we're going to go up. Mr. Fisher says, and thank you, viewers, for tuning in. A racist constitutional amendment could put us back to the 1940s racism. That's for sure. And Mr. Boyd says, we're just going to run them down, right? We are at war. Besides voting, we put pressure on the ones against us. Did I read that right? Yeah. On the ones against us, go after the lawyer, Edward Bloom. Okay, right.
He's sue him.
Yeah, sue him. That's right.
Sue him.
Let's go to okay, we got Stevie. We understand Dr. King. Let's see what Mr. Strong has to say. Okay, Mr. Strong says, when voting Democrat, we are choosing the lesser of two evils, or in the words of Malcolm X, pulling a 12-inch knife out the backs of blacks, 3-inch.
Not the whole,
just 3 inches, and calling it progress. What meaningful progress are we getting from our Democratic leaders? Ooh, that's tough. I saw something from Attorney Sandra Sheffield. Where's Attorney This year's. Okay, Attorney Sheffield said, I don't know how excited folks are about voting since the Democratic candidate quality is not up to par. It is so sad to say that when the Republican candidates are very often ridiculous and unqualified.
And Perry, that's what you were saying when the counterparts diminish their game, our game weakens in a nutshell.
Yeah. And I tell folks, you gotta get in. You gotta get in the fight.
Gotta get in the fight.
If you don't like what you see, do something about it.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm not saying you got to be a Democrat. I'm not here to be a spokesperson for the Democratic Party.
No.
At all. Right. That's their job. Right. What I say is that every last one of us have a way that we have to fight back. So you find out what that is. If it's not organized around voting, we didn't organize around something that will help uplift our people. Because we can sit on the sidelines all day long, talk about what somebody else. I'm gonna do all I can while I got a dash. And I don't know, and that's all I can do. Right? Everybody has a role that we can play. And if your role is sharing the information, share the information. But surely don't sit on the sidelines. You say a hit dog or holler.
Yes, say it again. Say it again.
I ain't hit, right? Because I'm doing the best I can. I'm doing everything I can do. I do the best I can, and that's all I can do. And that's how I was raised. My daddy would tell me. My dad died when I was 18 years young, at 56, right? And he said to all of he had 5 girls and 1 boy, and I'm the youngest of six. And he would tell us, whatever you do the best that you can do. That's all you can do, right? But the power that we have, and I think that we are not as unified. It's not unified as a monolith, but unified in connecting our resources and power. That folks, if we lock together more, we don't. I've lived long enough to know what it can look like, and it doesn't stay. We fall off and think, okay, we don't want that, we're gonna go into something else. I mean, it is what it is. But right now, we're in a whole different kind of threat. A whole different kind of threat. And I remember the 2016 election. My mama died June 15th, 2016. And I remember having to drive up to Jacksonville from Mims on 95. And I saw and I'm not trying to be partisan, but I saw it was something different about the signs people put in their yard with Donald Trump. Take up the whole cow pasture. Yeah. Right? It was something different going on.
It was bold.
Or they were riding through Mims and riding up US 1 in 20 cars deep, stopping traffic with Confederate flags. And these wasn't just the granddaddy. They was training the little boys, right? Some folks really think they want a civil war. They really think they want that, right? And some of us said it. We're gonna have a civil war, right? So, what we're gonna do? And all I say is do what you can. And I'm not judging anybody who don't think that the process or the Democrats, that's not my job to do that. I'll let you know what I know about what we have fought for and won, right? And there's more to fight for and win, because we are winning. That's why they're coming after, right? And trying to shut us back to, the 1864, right? I mean, some folks really think that they could do that. And it's not going to happen if it's all, as Susan Taylor was saying, what we're going to do on our watch. And that's all I'm trying to do.
Okay, there's this sister, and I can't pronounce her name, but Mametta, am I saying that correctly? Manette. Yeah, Manette. And she comes at a different point. She comes home. Any positive effect on U.S. genocide begins with the loyalty of our men to our women and communities. Wow. Well, man, you got to join us in this battle. Bring it on. Like as Sister Melanie says, all of us. It's going to take all of us. Whatever you can do If you want to barter, you bring me your goodness and I'll give you my goodness. You bring me your trade and I'll give you mine. And we'll meet this thing head on. I ain't scared. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we passed the top of the hour. And
Charles still saying a scared Negro get you killed.
Scared. You better say that. You better say that. Oh, that's Ayana.
We ain't scared.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm just quoting.
That's what Harriet. That's what Harriet said.
That's not my quote.
Well, what no Harriet say? They dead.
Yeah,
They gonna shoot
You say Negro?
Yeah.
Say Negro.
You had two of your sorors, was paying homage to you. They said that's Ayana, and the other one was Cheryl Smith from Dallas, Texas. So
All right, Saraz. Yes.
Yeah.
The others will be out there. A lot of the panels, and we just got the 100 signing on. And like I said, we got grassroots groups to the quote unquote. I hate that term, grassroots to grass tops. But we got any and everybody who believe in working together. That's what we're trying to do. That's it.
Absolutely.
Now, Dr. Campbell, do we need to RSVP? Is there something we need to do or go to be a part of these events?
The Florida Coalition on Black Civic Participation, but can I just run? I'm going to tell
And
you
you
what
can also put it in the chat.
And I'm going to, because we're going to be starting with knocking doors and going canvassing. Our main spot will be in Jacksonville. Will be at Mount Olive Primitive Baptist Church, which I talked about, Reverend Harris, in 1319 Myrtle Avenue North in Jacksonville. That's where I would say that's kind of like be our headquarters. We're going to be knocking doors, doing canvassing tomorrow, but the Florida Coalition on Black Civic Participation, that's the group. This is say when we're done, they'll still be here. That's what I mean. We're not. This is not the end. It's a beginning, right? And a continuation as well. But folks are already working. We're just trying to also bring some joy, right? Right? Bring some joy in this work, because it can be overwhelming. And then we're going to be Saturday morning over at Edward Waters College, Edward Waters University now, right? College. Really just engaging students. We'll have a press conference, kind of talk about what this is all about at the church. We're going to continue to do more community door knocking and canvassing and listening and sharing was what we plan to do. And there'll be groups that'll be doing other kinds of things like voter registration as well. One of the things that we're going to be sharing with people is how to get access to the resources that are out there for getting resources for the internet, to be able to get support for that. There's a lot of money that's out there for things like that too. So we're just trying to share and listen and just organize. And so this will be a couple of days, and the next week we'll be at Daytona, and everywhere we'll be doing something different. Some places, and the other local part of this is folks within the local community are the ones organizing what they think was needed, and not us just coming and saying, okay, this is what y'all want you to do. So some folks want to do town halls, some people want to do listening sessions. Everywhere we go, we're going to be doing canvassing and listening, but there'll be different types of organizing efforts throughout the week. There'll be a Black Men Roundtable. I want to talk to y'all about that offline. I think that's going to happen in South Florida. What they said they want to do when we get down to South Florida, and we're going to end at the end of the month in Tallahassee. We're going to the state capitol to raise our issues and voices.
So we'll have more information from your coalition in reference to how to share with our viewers.
Sure, we put something out there.
And thank you, and we're looking forward to working with you all.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Throughout this company. NPA, we've been partners with NPA for a number of, long as I've been doing this work, really, in different ways. And we definitely need you guys, and nothing like the Black press. And I'm not just one to ask for a free ad. We do put some resources when we got them and put them. Because I know how it is, right?
Yeah,
I've been doing this all the time. It costs money to do this work.
Right, and Sister Campbell, you're absolutely right, and that's why again, if you go to our social media page, all that the activity that you're talking about is there, and we're going to continue to put it in the place so folk can see. I would like for us to really join you in Tallahassee at the Capitol. If we can really focus on that to get us as many people that can be there.
Yeah, we really want to. We need to.
I know you come into Florida Memorial University. That's week after next.
Right.
Unfortunately, I won't be there, but I would like to try to set up an event maybe on Friday night if we can get Smitty's to do something.
Right. And we can talk offline about if there's another date because this is a fluid and based on what people, so sometimes we're going to add things other than what the dates even that you see.
Right.
Where that makes sense to do. Right. I said we're here for the
Okay.
We didn't come to do a one day thing.
Okay. All right, we're at the top of the hour.
We're about ready to close out, and I'm just gonna share this. My grandmothers and mothers and aunts and uncles and our dear First Lady, the only First Lady, Miss Michelle Obama, say, when they go low, we go high. So that's my closing statement for today.
All right, Perry, what you got?
Well, just thanks. I really enjoyed this. I probably have too much to say, and the hour is late, so I'll keep that to myself, and we'll have those discussions. But I do look forward, Ms. Campbell, to assisting, because as I say, in the field that I'm in, we really do have a lot to be concerned about, because I think that, well, I don't think, I know Republicans are that fascist group, should I say, they know they don't have the numbers. And so they're in a different kind of war program. Mm-hmm. And if we are not knowledgeable about that, I mean, you can see things such as what's going on X, the platform X. And when it has the ears of people and the amount of time that people are spending on these platforms, we really do have a lot to be concerned about with this whole AI and the misinformation, disinformation that will go on. This election for some people is all about chaos, not about winning, because when it's chaos, then there is no winners. And so we have to really be knowledgeable about that and begin to help do some things to counter that, especially within our communities, because they're not trying to win us over. They're trying to winnow us out.
Right. Whole different game.
Sister Campbell.
Whole different game.
Your closing thoughts.
Thank you all. And anybody listening, join us. If you can't join us, just get involved. You know, we are winning, right? And we're not going back. We got to keep pushing. We got to go forward, and we can do that together.
Very good. You know, I'm gonna say this, and I've said it before, and I'll say it again. First of all, you got to know who in the foxhole with you, because we are at war. That's the first thing. The other thing is the power of the ballot. We ain't gonna be erased. Period. And if you come at me, you better bring your A game, because I'm bringing my A game. And it's my position, and I stand on this, is to beat your natural with what you bring to me. So I'm saying that to say this. We are here to amplify your voice. Thank you to our audience and our listeners. And Sister Campbell, thank you so very much. We're in it to win. God bless you all.